Okay, I will call this meeting of the Finance and Labor Relations Committee to order. Everybody can hear me? Good. Item number one, or item number two, disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. See none. Item three, delegations, none scheduled. Item four, report of the Director of Corporate Services. Item 4.1, consideration of the Stratford City Center Business Improvement Area 2021 budget. And that Rob Russell be heard. Could I get a motion for that? Moved by Councilor Ritzma. All those in favor? So Rob and Rebecca, if you guys are ready to make your presentation, we're ready for you.
Perfect. Okay, there it is. Well, thank you very much for having us. My name is Rob Russell, the current chair of the Stratford BIA, and joining me today is our general manager, Rebecca Scott. So what we've done, we'll go through the slides, and since you're controlling them, we'll make sure that we indicate when the next slide is up, and that is the first one. So I'm going to toss it over to Rebecca, and we're just going to alternate back and forth and just give you a quick summary of what we were up to in 2020. So go ahead, Rebecca. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you. That's what the t-shirt of 2020 and now going to 2021. So yeah, our slideshow kind of begins when the COVID response started. Of course, in the early year, we had plans that kind of got derailed. But we started with our response to COVID by creating a service list for our members, for customers to access. So we updated our website with several different categories, including mental health resources and small, medium business resources, and basically anything that the government was pumping out. We created some really fun videos. So we had our members film themselves with instruction, and then we got a professional editor to make these quarantine co-videos. A lot of focus was on marketing for our members. We were really in touch with Ontario BIA and followed suit. And then we also created these posters for the windows so that they kind of had a universal look, and they could post their offerings for the time of the first lockdown. We also worked with the city of Stratford to facilitate the free parking and the curbside pickups. So just recommendations for that. Next slide, please.
Great. And then the other thing we did, of course, was get involved in some purchases of PPE. We were able early on to secure, with some help through the city of Stratford, 18,000 face masks, which we were able to distribute beyond our membership, and made sure that it was a citywide initiative, since all of our businesses in town are connected in many fundamental ways, and everybody needed help at the time. Also within the BIA, we did some face shields and some hand sanitizer through Junction 56, a great local company. And for our members, we did a $40,000 PPE subsidy fund, where we tried to help put some of that money we'd collected from them back in their pockets for some of the ongoing expenses. Next slide.
Through the COVID response, we established a lot of relationships that we already had, but I've always said the silver lining of this year was the gelling of those relationships. So the economic response and recovery task force, headed by Invest Stratford, emerged, as we are a member or a part of that. And we co-chair the HRT, the Heart, Hospitality, Retail, and Tourism subcommittee of that. And we had that lovely $400,000 come in from FedEv, which we collectively decided on how to work with the city on creating projects that seem to help with recovery. We did the 25 circles across from Tom Patterson to try to maintain that physical health for yoga and things like that. We did the 20 approved extended boardwalks. And then we got a lot of in-kind from CRP with the 50 picnic tables that we saw dispersed around the city, including Market Square. Boardwalk project, we thought we need to support the arts, and we paid artists to post their art on these boardwalks. We had 400 applicants. And then the liquor license, thanks to the city, extended Market Square and Tom Patterson Island. And also we documented this whole project with a video work of all the collaborators, including Saba and all the different construction companies, Balfour and what have you, that gave their in-kind time to make these projects happen. So we have a video called Icy Gold, which you can find on the Economic Recovery and Task Force page. Next slide.
Okay, and we've always had great opportunities to do partnerships with different organizations in town, and this year, or sorry, last year, 2020 was no different. We had lots of great, meaningful partnerships with and a lot of great projects to work on. Many of them to note, and I won't read the whole slide, but of course, Lights on Stratford, that was a fantastic success while it was able to run. And the Altogether Hospitality Workers Fund is another thing that's really going well, and United Way is leading in that, and it's been great to be a part of. So yeah, lots of partnerships going on this last year, pardon me. Next slide.
And business as usual, we had a few objectives, beautification projects that we had planned for. And as we emerged out of lockdown and came into phasing, we decided to move forward with a couple of the ones that we had planned. We worked with Gallery Stratford and Shane Nori Gallery to design these 2 steel box wraps that you see. And then as well, we commissioned, with the help of RTO funding, the Love Wins mural that you see outside of Revival House here. Next slide.
And we're just about there. This has got to do with some of our regular BIA programming. And of course, downtown dollars were a huge success. We had an almost 700% increase in sales of downtown dollars, which are used specifically to downtown businesses. A big part of that was a few manufacturers in Stratford that stepped up and did huge purchases for their staff, which was just incredible. But also among the community, we saw great increases in this. We also did a Christmas scavenger hunt while it was safe. It did end a little bit early. We also did anti-racism and inclusion training for our board and for some businesses. And we plan on continuing that next year. And our $10 back program last February, it ran. And this year we hope to do it, but we are going to wait until it's a safe time to look at how to do that effectively. Next slide. And that's me as well, because we just need to say thank you for giving us some time to present what we had managed to get up to last year and some of the great work we were able to do for our members and with the city. And basically at this point, we'll just move on to the last slide, which is our proposed budget for this year. I just want to make a couple of quick points and then we'll open it up to questions. We have done a 0% increase. We felt that this was a responsible thing to do in light of all the challenges, knowing that a lot of the city departments are looking hard at how to keep increases at a minimum. We wanted to do the same and do the same diligent work on that. So basically we're showing no increase this year. The only real differences in lines, we've rejigged a few things based on our needs last year because we do think they will be similar this year. So we have added the anti-racism and diversity training as a budget line this year because that's ongoing work we want to make sure we're doing and acknowledging. And we do have a little bit more in support fees, and that is because we were fortunate enough to hire a part-time social media person, which has been instrumental in having someone with the proper training and skill set really focusing on that, and it's paying dividends for our members through the year. And other than that, really some rejigging. One last thing was the emergency expenses. I believe this was a recommendation by OBIA, and city staff allowed us to go ahead and add that. And that is just a line, not of additional money, of course, but just a place to put things that are especially COVID related that really don't fit into our normal budget, because we do have to be able to pivot, to use that word that's been so used this year and last, and just figure out, be able to do things that we needed to do that may not fit under our normal budget lines. So I believe that's really it, other than opening it up to any questions you might have. And Rebecca, if you can think of anything I missed, jump in.
The only other change I'd say, sorry, is that we usually allot $5,000 directly to summer music. And we decided to put that into the Destination Animation Project Fund, which is open to all animation, just to keep it fair and that there's a process for applying.
Excellent presentation. Thanks a lot, Rob and Rebecca. I saw Councillor Ritzman's hand.
Yeah, just a question to either Rob or Rebecca. Under the, I believe it said beautification at $40,000. What goes under that line in your budget?
So there is quite a few different things. Rebecca, you can fill in any blanks I may miss, but our snowflakes, and we do have ongoing repairs with those. Under beautification also, we give some money to the city towards the upkeep of flowers and gardens throughout the downtown. I believe that is about $10,000 that we contribute from there. And then ongoing programs we're doing, it might be restoring the benches if needed, or any purchases of bike racks, that is ongoing. I'm just trying to think of all the different things. There is signage throughout the downtown, the maps and directory boards that we keep on. So those are the main things. But is there anything else, Rebecca, that you can think of that I haven't hit?
No, I mean, we kept that budget, I think, very similar to last year, with the idea that we keep it open because like last year, it's kind of uncertain what the needs will be. We are going to be having a collective meeting with our partners on al fresco, again, given if the city approves that. We might be able to direct some of that budget towards that if needed, if we don't have the funds through, say, FedDev or economic recovery funds that are outside of that. So we've earmarked it for beautification. There could be some public art projects. We'd love to do another mural at some point. But yes, it's those types of things. And yes, the flowers, I believe, are about 9,000 a year as well. So that's almost half of it between flowers and snowflakes that we've been repairing, right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Councillor Clifford.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to ask, because of COVID, is there anything in reserve from 2020, or did you spend everything? Like, you've got interest here. That's my first question.
Yes, so we did actually come very close to spending our entire budget. We had a small reserve, but we did focus it towards the Lights On initiative. We felt that was incredibly important. We were optimistic that things wouldn't get as bad as they did end up getting, and having to close it a bit early, but it was the responsible thing to do. But there was some legacy building in there as well we felt was important. So we knew the risks going in, that there could be a second wave and further shutdowns, but we knew that we needed to get this project off the ground. It was such a great one, and something that for years to come, our hope is that we can build on that and have a winter season for our locals and for visitors when it's safe for them to come back. So yeah, there was a good investment in that by the BIA this year.
And my other question, with all this COVID again, and with the closing of stores, like how and the plays closed, like how is our downtown, and how are our merchants? Like, are they surviving or not? I'd be interested to find out, because like I own a company I did great because everyone was home, they wanted air conditioning, but I know I'm an exception. So I'd like to find out what exactly is happening at our retail merchants.
Well, maybe what I'll do, I'll speak for myself briefly as a store owner downtown, and then I'll hand it over to Rebecca to report on some other members and what she's hearing. It has been a challenging year, no doubt about it, but there's been a lot of assistance that's been helpful for a lot of members, I believe. We've had huge public support. I found when we were open again for the duration of the summer and the fall and leading up to Christmas, we had great support from our locals, and we had visitors, of course, while it was safe for them to come. I think a lot of businesses have really leaned on their online, their ability to do curbside pickups. I think anybody you talk to will say that it's been a lot more work for a lot less money. But Stratford has such an amazing brand and reputation that as soon as we opened up, we could feel that people were wanting to come. Locals or visitors wanted to get downtown and around the city, and I think that was huge. That's been years and years of work by everyone in the city to see that happen. And I don't know that all communities out there were as lucky to see a rebound like that while it was available between shutdowns. So yeah, that would be my little blurb. But Rebecca, would you like to add something on any of our other members?
Sure. So I sit on at least one to two industry calls with Ontario BIA. So I get a bit of a snapshot every week of how other communities are doing and other municipalities in terms of small, medium business. I can say I echo what Rob said. I think some of the work that the task force had, and just our reputation of being just a beautiful place to visit, we were kind of surprised at how vibrant things were when we did go to reopen. So through those summer months, there was a vibrancy, and the feedback was, I'm down, it's expected, but I'm surviving. I think if we continue to offer those resources, I think if the, different levels of government, especially the provincial right now, continue to add stimulus that is appropriate, like the Ontario Support Grant just came out, and that we are continuing to have valuable feedback with our MP and MPP so that they can then bring that back, because that was happening continuously. I think that we're going to be okay if we see that rollout of reopening. Who knows when that will be exactly, but I think it's going to be, contingent on a variety of different, I'd say, groups, meaning our city groups, so our partners, as well as just what the government is offering. But everyone is kind of in the same position. The outcry I've been hearing lately is that some people haven't qualified for certain grants because they own their building and what have you, but we're taking that feedback, bringing it back to Ontario BIA, and then they are advocating for that as well. So that communication just needs to keep going, and we need to keep an open channel with our business owners to just hear what the issues are as they come.
Councillor Bunting. Turn your mute. Yeah.
I was doing that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just noticed, maybe you're not allowed to do this. I don't really know. Excuse my ignorance. Do you have a contingency fund that you can sort of build on and keep something off for a rainy day, something like Destination Stratford has? I realize there's limits to these funds, but nevertheless, I'm just thinking, after the lesson we've had last year and possibly coming up this year, it might be a good idea to research that, whether it's called a reserve fund or whether it's called a contingency fund. It doesn't really matter. It's about some money that's available in the event of it's needed. Let's put it that way.
For sure, that's a good point. My understanding from my previous years with the BIA is that we were not really allowed to carry a carryover. We are supposed to, the goal is to spend our budget each year. It's an interesting point though, because with something like this, I think it deserves rethinking, because having a bit of a nest egg, I think for our businesses, especially, the ones that are finding it the easiest to get through this, had some kind of a reserve. I mean, you have to when you take a hit like this, and if we can organizationally, it would be a good call. So I think it is time to revisit that and go to OBIA and see if that's something we can look at, or that maybe has changed since the last time we looked into it. So thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Then I will take a motion on the recommendation if anybody's interested in making it. Councillor Beattie, any other questions or clarifications? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thanks, Rob and Rebecca. You're welcome to stay till the end. It's only going to be a couple more minutes, so I will carry on. Item 5. Advisory committees and outside boards, there is none. Next subcommittee meeting is Tuesday, February 16th at 3:30. Item 7, moved by Councillor Bunting. All those in favor of adjournment? Carried. Thanks, everybody.